At Home Farm, the real danger this week may not be an open enemy, but the person quietly pulling everyone's emotions in the direction he wants. Graham Foster is clearly no longer content with simply warning Joe about Kim. This time, he seems determined to break them apart for good. And what makes it interesting is that his actions do not come from pure loyalty alone. On the surface, Graham looks like the one man who sees through Kim and wants Joe to stop trusting her before it is too late. But underneath that, there is also ego, resentment, and something much more personal. Kim may insist she is done with Graham, yet her pain says otherwise. She knows he is bad for her, she tells herself she has to stay guarded, and still she cannot fully detach from him. That emotional contradiction makes her vulnerable, even if she would never admit it openly. Graham seems to recognize that weakness, and instead of stepping away, he pushes harder. Part of him appears satisfied that Kim is still affected by what he does, especially by his pursuit of Rona. That reaction gives him power, and Graham is the kind of man who does not let go once he feels he can still influence the board. His frustration with Kim also runs deeper because she tried to turn Joe against him, particularly over his secret dealings with Kane. Even though Graham has managed to remain in Joe's good graces for now, he knows the balance is fragile. Joe is tired of hearing constant criticism of Kim, but Graham cannot let it go because in his mind, Joe is still failing to see who Kim really is. Joe sits in the most complicated position here. He may project confidence, but he still seems to want Kim's approval as the head of the family. That need explains why he remains tied to her despite everything that has happened between them. Their bond was built in a strange period of betrayal, survival, and uneasy alliance, so it is not something that can be easily broken by logic alone. Graham understands that, which is why simple warnings are no longer enough for him. If Joe will not listen, Graham appears ready to force the truth in a harsher way. What makes this storyline compelling is that it is not just about exposing Kim. It is also about possession, emotional territory, and control inside the Tate family. Graham wants to win, and that may be the most dangerous part of all. Once winning becomes more important than protecting Joe, his actions stop looking noble and start looking ruthless. Kim, meanwhile, may act strong, but her heartbreak suggests she is not as invincible as she wants others to believe. That emotional crack could become a major problem if Graham continues to exploit it. By the end of the week, Joe seems more open to Graham's advice, which could mean the first real shift in the balance of power at Home Farm. My feeling is that Graham may succeed in damaging the relationship between Joe and Kim, but not without consequences. If he pushes too far, Joe could eventually realize he is being manipulated from another side as well. And if Kim senses that Graham is using her feelings against her, her response may be far more dangerous than either man expects. This does not feel like a conflict that ends with one clean winner. It feels more like the beginning of a family war, where every emotional weakness becomes a weapon.